Morning, California lawmakers face a major deadline this week as they work to pass new proposed laws.
But they could be facing fresh scrutiny around how much they'll actually be getting done to make life more affordable. KCRA3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala joining us now to look at some of the debates we can expect to see play out over the next few days.
Yeah, well, Tayo and Brandy, Friday is what's known as the House of Origin deadline. The deadline for bills written in the state assembly to pass out of the assembly and bills written in the Senate to get out of the Senate. Bills from the assembly will be considered by the Senate between now and September, and then the assembly will consider those Senate bills between now and then as well. So the proposed laws that survive this point are officially halfway through the state's lawmaking process. One big question looming: how much of a dent will state lawmakers make on their promise to tackle affordability? As we reported at the start of this legislative session, Democrats Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas and State Senate Pro Tem Mike McGuire limited the amount of bills lawmakers could file so they would be laser focused on affordability. Both houses combined have 697 bills to get through by the end of this week. 9 of them have to do with affordability. Most of those 9 look to address the cost of housing. 1 attempts to bring down utility costs, and others address wage theft. Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas also announced new committees that will hold a series of hearings to try to tackle the affordability issues from different angles, including on the cost of energy, transportation, housing, childcare, and food. But these hearings aren't really scheduled yet. It's not even clear when these committees will begin meeting. Meanwhile, Republicans this week are ready to criticize Democratic leaders and claim they're not doing enough now 6 months after making this promise to tackle the issue. They're launching a, quote, cost of living week, which they announced this morning. In a statement, Assembly Republican Minority Leader James Gallagher wrote, quote, "We don't need another select committee to tell us what most Californians already know. Democrats admit that the cost of living is the top threat to our future." He went on to say, so why do they keep pushing policies to raise prices, expand bureaucracy, and hammer working families with higher taxes? Republicans are done waiting. Californians need relief now, end quote. Now, floor session kicks off this afternoon at 1 p.m. in the Assembly and 2 p.m. in the Senate. They'll vote on hundreds of bills a day to have to get through that proposed pile of laws that they need to finish by Friday.
Boy, that is a lot, too, definitely.
Yeah.
So what is the governor's role in this? Like, where is he this week?
Right, actually, so right now the governor is at the Democratic Governors Association meeting in Oregon. He's supposed to be back tonight. But in the background of all of this bill passing and slashing is the negotiations around the state budget between him and state lawmakers. The budget allows lawmakers and the governor to tuck some proposed laws into the spending plan to get them passed as quickly as possible. It's a controversial tactic, but we do know the governor is on board with 2 proposals that would exempt new housing in urban areas from the state's environmental laws. We know those lawsuits, for example, are used to slow down a new apartment from being built. The governor wants to fast track this push so that it goes into effect immediately, which supporters note could really help around the state's housing affordability issues. But a lot of the debate still, where there's a lot of questions, is how exactly is the state going to address the cost of fuel and food? Housing, most people seem to be on board, but again, that's what we're watching this week.
A lot more to come.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
Ashley.
Thank you.